crazy. I might have to change the angle of this camera here, though. Let me see. Can't tell how the lighting is sitting here. Is this alright? Well, welcome. I thought we might do a little thought exercise, some games. Is that alright? Is that gonna work? We'll see. We'll see. Yes, it was t-shirt and shorts weather earlier. Now it's a little chilly. The consideration of what time is it has always been one that is quite interesting to me. Between calendars and what time do people think it is. I mean, certainly we can tell what time it is during the day, the lights, if the sun is out or if the moon is out. But what time is it in the calendar system? Like, what year are we in? If you start from, you come to this realm and no one told you what year it was or what time it was or who you were interacting with. What would you know? You would just assume everybody that looks like you is actually another thing like you are, the human species. And then as we see technology in front of us move on, and we see these robots and we see these computer systems and we see, wow, this artificial intelligence, why couldn't it be what you'd consider the year 4000 right now? That we're already surrounded by, interacting with AI, and not just on here. I mean, the people that you see around you. Much like Westworld, but it's not like a place that people go for a vacation. But I'm saying, why couldn't that be it already? What if you're the only one that isn't a robot, or you're learning what, say, a higher form of intelligence or a different form of intelligence? For instance, the idea that there's silicon or silica creatures and carbon-based life forms. When you look into the ancient trees, the big ones, the giant trees and redwood forests and Silica Valley, and the computer systems, well, trees used to be made of silica. So many things have happened on this realm, this plane of existence, but who knows what the primary base creature is on this realm. Why, let's say humans are 6 protons, neutrons, electrons, carbon-based. Can you even really know that for yourself? Do you know that you're carbon-based? Do you know that I am? Do you know that anybody is? What would be the difference? A silica-based creature could already be, you could be interacting with them on a daily basis. If it's, I mean, we can find, I remember watching which one was it? It's called Baraka, or perhaps it was, what was the other one? It was one of those films where they don't talk throughout it, but it's like a 2-hour musical and cinematographic adventure through the entire landscape of where we live. And a lot of them were done in the late 90s, early 2000s. Squatties, and they were showing robots that were being built in the 90s that looked, it would be a very hard sell for you to look at the person that made it, and so they made a robot that mimicked and looked like him. It was a really difficult challenge. Now, considering that's what they were showing you from the 90s, where would the technology be now? And what's to say that already didn't happen a long time ago? There's a lot of people that think that if we go back to some of the ancient gods, demigods, whatever, different religious books, there's a few that they say in the, I guess if you get to Hindu and you get to a few other cultures, that these beings actually existed, and the reason that they lived so long was not because they just necessarily lived a healthier lifestyle or did something crazy with their breathing patterns, or were on this spiritual thing and they lived to 150 years old. It was the fact that they were made out of something different, and that they had pieces, much like Iron Man has a heart that isn't actually, it's not a organic living system, but it's a piece of machinery. And at what point, I mean, you can look at any movie, they always get into the idea of at what point does someone become no longer human and more robotic, or a separate or different species altogether. And the idea that there used to be a lot more maybe oxygen on this realm, or maybe what was in the air wasn't oxygen. Maybe it was a different chemical altogether. How could we know this? Maybe we can see the trees that were very big, and this is one of the largest things for me that I always try to get people to think about is the trees themselves, the size of them. Look around you. Where do you see trees that are over a couple hundred years old? You don't, too frequently. How old should most trees live to? I mean, how do you know really? Yeah, you have all these things, oh, these can live to 600, these can live to 800. But what, did they just die and go away? Did somebody cut them down? So these trees, this is from my perspective, a really easy way to observe there could have been a reset of for some reason, somehow. Change of atmosphere, change of mud flood, whatever. But where did the trees go? And why did they get replanted, reseeded only a couple hundred years ago? Most of the landscape, anywhere you go, there will be places that have older, more ancient trees, but the majority of our realm, you're only seeing a few hundred years old, 200, 300 years old at the tops. So what is the reseeding of the planet based on trees, and what is the reseeding of the planet as far as humans? Like we're supposed to repopulate, we get to 72 and that's our lifespan, right? And our lifespan, if you're not aware, is somewhat, if we get into astrology, is based upon a Venusian construct, Venus, and the circle. So 360 degrees in a circle divided by 5, which is letter V in Roman numerals. It's also Venus, and it's a star. So that Venusian construct is to take 360 and divide it by 5, and you get 72, and that's our lifespan. Interesting mathematical way to break it down. So what if a different planetary body was informing the energy on this realm? Then the math would change on how long this species would live. And I'm sure that works with every other planet and its connection to maybe an auroch, an elephant, a tree, a whale, an octopus. What's up, Super? Oh, he gets comments about piss drinking. Yeah, I had that little, spat with him a while ago where he kicked me out of one of his things because somebody was asking about the plasma apocalypse, and I was like, just talking to somebody in the thing that knows of my channel, and somebody had asked the question in the comment section, and I relayed plasma has to do with your plasma ultrafiltrate, obviously. He was not too keen on that. As open-minded as he is about so many other concepts. But that one just goes right over him. Not even, won't even consider. But whatever. I mean, hey. I mean, for me, that's one of the top 5 questions that I have for people, and how I know if I'll be able to interact with them for any elongated period of time is usually whether or not they're willing to consider the shape of the realm, if we've been to the moon, what do they really know about, most people don't know shit about nutrition or their own body, which is a huge set of videos that I've done. I mean, obviously, you've probably seen quite a bit of them, but going into the idea, like, we live in this thing. This is, I mean, as much as we live on the earth, we don't know shit about the earth, but we're here in this every day. And we don't know the first thing about how it works, how it functions. And we definitely don't know how nutrition works, or even what it is, even the people that study nutrition. So, those are like those primary things. Where do we live? What time is it? Do you know what your body is as a vehicle, a UFO? How does it function? What does it run on? What is its fuel? What is running through it? What is running through your system? The Earth is 70% water. We're 70% some water. Okay, how's your car function? What is the gasoline equated to in your body? What is the fluids related to, in a car and in your body and on this realm? They seem to take a pretty linear path between how a car functions, how your body functions, and how the earth functions. And so we don't know much about what oil is, because we don't know what the soil is doing. We don't know where that oil comes from. We don't know how the sun works with whatever's happening with the microbes and what's happening on the earth. We don't know what's happening inside of our body. We don't even really understand what water is. So we have a lot of the basic the necessities we should know about, the basic principles of how this life functions, and not too many people have even the slightest. I would say most of your body is water-based. So I'm not saying carbon-based, I'm saying water-based creatures. Maybe we should have a better understanding of what water is. And apparently, the piss that comes out of you is cleaner than most of the liquids we're putting into our system. So just like a car, there's a filter system. Just like the earth, things are getting filtered. So why wouldn't that be a cleaner, an air conditioner? You know what an air conditioner does? It distills, and you have drips of water that are coming out of it. That's distilled, clarified plasma, water. Or maybe we should know what that is. Well, if he was, that was a long time ago, and it was just in one time in his comments a long time ago. I hadn't said shit about it since, but whatever. Like to throw out the simple basic thing. If you're made of water, hey, what are you gonna do? I'll do more videos on that soon. I've done so many. I'll try to re-release some, or at least touch on the ideas again. But the things that we're most told are no good for us tend to be the best. We're told distilled water will kill you. We're told that. Yet, that's not how it works. We're told urine's a waste product, yet it's not. We're told that alcohol is no good, sugar is no good. Yet it seems as though those things all, how's a funny car work? It goes fast. It's ethanol, ether, it's this, the ether. I mean, it's, we poison the air, we poison the water, we poison the beer, we poison the sugar by chopping it up and trying to make it separate than it was. Go ahead, get that high fructose corn syrup in your body. That's good. Yeah, Super Champ. That's one of the big things is when certain channels are specifically on a topic, they ignore all of the avenues, the side shoots into other things that connect. But it's the channels that are flat Earth. Great, I'm glad they're there, but they don't ever get off of that one single subject matter. People that talk about whatever their little niche is. However, I would go stir crazy to talk about the same shit or think that everything isn't somehow intricately and intrinsically linked together, and that there's always an overlay of how the human body functions and how all of the systems that we see outside of us somehow mimic what we're doing, how we are, how a camera lens works, it's how your eyeballs work, how a speaker works, and your eardrums, how your trumpet of God in your throat is much like a trumpet. It's called the trumpet of God. It's even got 3 valves in it, and then it's all. Everything man does is only a secondary system to how nature provides it, how it grows organically without you doing anything about it. So I've touched on the philosophy of phi and pi. So in the organic, and both of these are numbers that have no end, right? And they also create a type of spiral or a vortex. And when we look at 1.618 or 3.14, one is used in computers and one is used in the organic world. And the organic principle, so this phi and this pi, they're analogous in the sense that they're never ending and they create a spiral, but they're not the same. The organic world is using it, so it's a mimicry. The system that we see on a computer screen or in a digital realm is always going to be using squares and boxes and a mathematical principle that will give you something that looks almost real, but it's not quite. It's almost organic. And back to the beginning, just for a second here. What year do you think it could be? I mean, if we said the year was 0 and everything just started, so they just dropped all of these humans here in the year 0, and we assume it's the year 2021. So we've been here for 2021 years. Let's just assume this. And this is the level of technology. Why would we make the assumption that technology didn't start well before that? And we're just looking at, we got to such a high degree of technology, they've enveloped that into another underlaying of saying, okay, we got to a high degree of technology, now let's just start the system over, even though the other system is running at a higher capacity and it's run inside of a larger system that has 4,000 years worth of understanding of technology. That, for somebody to make a bicycle, if you were driving a Lamborghini, what that takes to make the Lamborghini is quite a bit. And so that's high technology. And you go ask somebody there, like, make a bicycle. They're like, yeah, that's easy. And so we're in the bicycle mode of a Lamborghini universe. I mean, to me, everything points to that, based upon artifacts of the past, and they're all around you. The buildings, the seemingly giant buildings, what we don't understand how technology was working, but we're coming to, like, you couldn't have thought about how the technology we're working with now in the 50s. You would have never considered any of this. But for someone that's already at a higher standard, like what do you teach your children? You know, when they're 5, you're going to teach them how to make paper airplane because you know how to make an airplane from scratch. Well, welcome everybody. How you doing? We might go in and listen to some music in a little bit. Can you guys hear this? A buddy of mine just got back from Puerto Rico and LA. They were just recording some music videos. Literally, he just got off a plane and was like, came back here to practice. And back to your comment, Super Champ. Yeah, you chime in about piss and you're healthy, and that it's gonna escape them. They can't even engage with such a thought because their entire mind frame of what is healthy can't include that. It wouldn't, especially not in a realm of like where else are you gonna say that? Go into a room full of people that are all talking about sports cars, you're not going to be able to like talk about ballet with them. Yeah. I've expressly said don't make tulpas. I made one video on that, and the rest of the videos I made on magic and making your like minions and sigils, and then you can make you know, your like god forms, and you can make your grimoire, which is the word grammar, which is a larger book that you can keep these things in. Tulpas seem to have the capacity to become self-aware and cause havoc, and that's more of like a darker art of hoodoo that doesn't seem like there's a couple TV shows that explore this, and it even goes back into some other translations of why people were using gourds, alchemists were using gourds, and people use clay to create something. And so in this show, the guy's name is Clay, but they had made a tulpa. Some magicians had made a tulpa, and his name was Clay, but he became self-aware and became run amok. And so he was literally made out of clay, and he could form differently. And I think it would be as you know, how difficult would that be to do? I don't know. If people ain't even out here making sigils, that's so far away from even attempting to make a tulpa or some sort of an egregor. An egregor is a level below a tulpa. It goes god form, which is, so you got your grimoire, god form, tulpa is kind of an offshoot, egregor. Then you got what you call like your minions or your meeseeks, and then you have sigils, and then somewhere in there you have super sigils. It just doesn't seem like a logical progression for me. It's like when people are always like, oh, do you dry fast? And people are out here teaching about it, and people are like trying to do it, like you're gonna harm yourself. It doesn't work that way. You can't get just cold turkey off of eating 4 meals a day to thinking you're gonna be doing juice. It would make no sense. I'm just gonna go straight to liquids and juice. You're not gonna be able to. You won't be able to handle it for a bunch of reasons, chemically and just how much cleaning your body would do. And to dry fast, you're gonna be clogging up your system. So it's just a matter of at what level of playing with magic would people, you don't give your keys to your Ferrari Testarossa to your 6-year-old that doesn't know how to even drive a lawnmower. Yeah, Ruby, good to see you. Thanks for all of these people coming through that are obviously bots or whatever. How do you suppose YouTube just allows the bots to just flee? You just fly right in, and just bot the whole thing. It just doesn't seem. It doesn't. It seems like their algorithm is so precise. If someone says something that they don't like during a show, they'll ixnay the show. I've done 2-hour shows and somehow in 30 minutes the show is squashed. But yet, everybody I know, anybody with any decent channel, the amount of bots that just get on there is ridiculous. I mean, I don't, obviously that bot's not going to interact with me, but, how do their algorithms not just eliminate those? There is, we can get into the transhumanism and all of this, and why is that an agenda? We can get into that another show. We'll go in that really deep. But why the push for, some places they're trying to ban smoking? You're telling me, so now plants are right back to when they make legal, they legalize weed again, but then they're like, well, they're gonna get rid of tobacco and get rid of this. They got rid of alcohol. They get rid of this. The assault on the natural world and plant life has been amazing forever, and they're gonna, because, and here's how misunderstood things are to people. They can't somehow figure out that it's not the natural plant life, the tobacco leaf, the coca leaf, the weed leaf. They can't get their head around. That's not the problem. It's the processing and chemicals afterwards that are causing the disruption in the human system. That the natural way of fermenting a food or fermenting alcohol or aging some tobacco, or you have to dry out your herbs and whatever, that's naturally occurring alchemy. And everything is to get to remove us from interacting with nature. Wonder why that is. Could it be for a good reason? I've suggested you could change your blood type, which would change your bone structure, perhaps even what it's made of. Because if you're changing what you're putting into your body and the fluids, it would change the molecular construct of even your bones, perhaps, right? After a while, your bone marrow is what's going into that, and your bones are crystalline. So what if you're supposed to be more near silica or a crystal being? I mean, Legend of the Crystal Skull. I mean, are you already not nearing that? Yeah, super chat. Oh, what's up, Christopher? Yeah, it's still a separate entity at first, and you would have control over it. But to me, it's no different than having a child. That, once a child gets to age of having its own ideas and what they'd like to explore, you have to go, okay, go out and have that. But doing that with a tulpa, you're already starting them in a position where you are in a sense, they're God, and then they're going to somehow go, oh, God created me, now I don't like the rules God has put around me. I'm going to do something about that. So, you know, any child's like, you know, coming to that age where they go rebel against the parental figures. They don't know anything. They don't know what they're talking about. And if you're gonna study it, just get it. You'd have to get into like some African voodoo science and the hoodoo culture of like what, West Indies, I guess. I mean, New Orleans has the staples of it here, but it's maybe. I mean, I'm sure I could probably find the people that practice such things. Go watch the TV show, The Originals. It's based in New Orleans, and it's about witches and vampires and werewolves, and it's pretty well done. So how was everybody's experience here on the submarine that we're inside of, the big yellow submarine? I mean, and that too. Let me throw that in the mix here. Even if we were inside of an enclosed structure, a dome, whatever, that doesn't dismiss that can't be inside of another larger structure, and a structure outside of that. We could be, the thing outside of that could be swimming through the ocean or outer space with something inside of that would then feel nothing that's going on in the larger outer space, the outer realms. You could be, if you were inside a submarine, and inside of that submarine there was even a smaller thing that was a gyrosphere, and then that ocean outside of the submarine, above that a bunch of things were going on, and then the thing outside of that was, you wouldn't experience or feel or notice any of that occurring. You'd be inside of the, like, you know, around the holidays, around Christmas, you always see the globes, and it's water filled and it's inside. I've always taken a liking to the idea that we're not, and the trick is, if everything's inverted and opposite land, they say we live on a globe. No, we live in a globe. We live inside of that, which is why everything would be level. You put the water level anywhere you want in that. What's going on outside of that, who knows? But if you live inside of it, it makes a lot more sense. Just invert everything we've ever heard. What did Chris? Hey, Super Chappy. What did Christopher want to know? What did he say? Christopher's come on, Super Chat. I know you're kidding, Super Chat. I mean, you've talked to him. He's a human being. You've met him before. You've talked to him, haven't you? I'm sure you have. Yeah, when we used to do the lives on Zoom. Oh, and Christopher, we'll do lives on Zoom again soon. I was kind of maybe waiting to see what happened with donations and things, and if I can in turn give that as a Christmas gift to everybody else, and I'll start that up again. Because again, that does cost money that I do not have right now to get a Zoom thing. So if you guys want to come together and find, I think it's $100 for the year or something like that. Maybe it might be more now, but and I'm not trying to pay a monthly thing on that. But then we can do Zooms again, and I'll reorganize them a little differently, and I'm sure there's new chat features and shit on that, and I'll learn how to use it a little better. And we won't turn it into we'll have certain days where it'll be like all of us just dicking around, but then other days where it'll be me talking. You guys can show up, and it'll be like 30 minutes of this, and then we'll open the forum. So interesting. I don't know. Why there's way less people now. Because usually the shows that I do about this hour would be the most people showing up. Now when I do shows at like noon, way more people show up. When I do noon shows, I mean, again, I don't know how the information gets to people, because most people still don't get a reminder I'm doing a show. I already know how that shit works. Well, I mean, I don't know how it works, but I just know it does. I know it occurs. But it's like there's only 3 people here, I guess, which is usually there'd be like 20, 30 people here. But what do I know? Yeah. Yeah, Super Champion, I was assuming you were fucking around. I just didn't. I was like, yeah, of course you guys. Like, unless he was already a full. Christopher, are you already a full automaton robot? I knew it. Yeah, I told him this. I don't know why. I told him I'm not gonna say it again, except for I already tried to like hit a button and do something. I'd have to do like go into figure out how my PC's broken, and that's the only reason I can't actually do it. And I haven't made a whole day's affair of using somebody else's computer to figure out, how to get into download the extra shit, get on my YouTube, get into my studio, and then find out what the fucking options are to get to the, because they always changing that shit on me. Not on me, but like how simple it used to be to use YouTube, and now how clumsy it is. There's too many variables. It's too many buttons to push. Make it easy. Let me hit record. People can talk, and open source, The only thing that all the extra bells and whistles do are for people that are really trying to make make an income off of doing ads and commercials and shit like that. I wish I was more motivated to do all that, because then I wouldn't have to sit here and beg you guys. I don't know. I don't know. It's not begging. It's like, pay me, motherfucker. All right, what else are we getting into here, Super Champ? Anything? I suppose what I could do is just see what happens is call this a show, because I think I've covered everything I had on my mind, and I'll just do an open show. I'll just, in 5 minutes, I'll get back on and just do an open show, and we'll just chat about whatever. I'll call it the whatever show. So how about that? How about I do that? If you guys want to come back in like 5 minutes. Let me shut this down and go get some ice, see what these guys are doing, maybe go listen to some music, and I just have an open chat or whatever. But we'll leave it at, if anybody wants to, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, it's beneath the description box. You can donate because I'm hilarious or entertaining. Maybe not so hilarious during this show, but I do got jokes, or you've been educated in some way, or I made you think. And as per usual, take care of yourself, be well, take care of others when you can, and be weird. And I'll see you guys in like 5 minutes. Come back, tell your friends and family. It'll be weird and crazy and strange and wonderful. Talk to you in a second, y'all. Oh, Super Champion. Not that address. I'll talk to you next show. Yeah? You come back on? Cause she moved. So that's like a whole, you can though, definitely. She moved to new Eddie. But yeah, man, I'll talk to you guys in like 5 of those minutes. Peace, wholeness, all that, balance, vibes. Ooh.